着梦想去飞。
勇敢的心，他说输又如何？
即便历经了贫穷和病痛，流离失所，失去了挚爱，也被世人不解和冷落。我不要在名利的光环下迷失自我，不忘初心，一往无前，点燃燎原之火。
让信仰引领不安的心，
这和马克思
为民营团结起来革命，
这和马克思
没有谁能熄灭我的热情，
这和马克思
为人类的解放守护真心，
这也和马克思。
尽管此刻我不被理解，你不懂我热爱的一切。或许我们要就此告别，我期待重逢的那一天。
我听说了，有人说我是阴谋家，说我是阴谋家，但是我没有分裂我们的协会吧？马克思，你犯不着指桑骂槐。马克思，我知道你说的是我对你并没有什么不敬，只是我始终认为，只有当个人得到绝对自由时，人性才能获得最完满的实现。要通过暴动立即消灭国家，实现所有个人和团体的绝对自由。而你马克思主张要夺取政权， 就是要把我们工人阶级带入没有自由的地狱中去。
巴库宁，你这种主张绝对自由的无政府主义，对我们的事业是极其危险和有害的。你口口声声说要绝对自由，要搞无政府主义，可是你不是也把克鲁泡特金、沃尔夫、加西亚、罗梅罗这些人组织成小团体了吗？
说得好，
说得好。
对。
Hi. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Sal, on the Red Army, obviously. And today we are going to read something by Joseph Stalin. How's everyone this evening? Hi, Caboose. It's good to see you. Bakunin can indeed suck a fuck. Bakunin is not a good person. Bakunin is a bad person. Anti-Semitic. Very bad. Ugh, Caboose. I definitely feel that. I haven't talked to you in a while. You gotta message me more. Don't Google why Bakunin hated the state. Worst mistake of my life. Honestly. Don't do it. Do not do it. Yes, we do have to catch up. Welcome in, Choice. Ave Stelicho. Grey Blacks. Blot. Welcome, welcome. Kenzie. Samuka Muna. Okay. Or good mistakes, so you know to hate Bakunin. Also, you could do the same trick to Proudhon. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I've been okay overall. Been okay. I think I'm just going to avoid holidays this year, so feeling pretty good about that decision. How about y'all? Are y'all gonna do your holiday shit? No holiday shit. Hello, futuristocracy. You know what? You should be a VIP. You're in here all the time. You deserve it, sweaty. Yeah. So much drama with brother and dad and ex. Got so much tea to spill. Ooh. Wait, what day is it? Is it Friday? I might call you after stream if you're awake. Could hear some juicy goss. Okay. Oh, nice. Grey Blacks. Or I'm sorry. I don't know if you like your family or not. Nice. Yes. Okay, let's see. Kind of just keep spreading. That's not what I want to do. Dang it, I can't like... This is annoying. This little tank. Okay. This is as good as we're probably gonna get it. Okay, can everyone hear me okay? Am I too loud? Do I sound fine? Dang, I hope Stalin doesn't choose anarchism in this essay or Trotskyism. I have not read this before. This is my first read through. So, yeah, I'm excited to dig in. Okay, cool. For the incel to do a revolution. Oh no. Okay, let's start. The hub of modern social life is the class struggle. In the course of this struggle, each class is guided by its own ideology. The bourgeoisie has its own ideology, so-called liberalism. The proletariat has its own ideology. This, as is well known, is socialism. Liberalism must not be regarded as something whole and indivisible. It is subdivided into different trends, corresponding to the different strata of the bourgeoisie. Nor is socialism whole and indivisible. In it there are also different trends. We shall not here examine liberalism. The task had been better left for another time. We want to acquaint the reader only with socialism and its trends. We think that he will find this more interesting. Socialism is divided into three main trends: reformism, anarchism, and Marxism. Reformism, Bernstein and others, which regards socialism as a remote goal and nothing more. Reformism, which actually repudiates the socialist revolution and aims at establishing socialism by peaceful means. Reformism, which advocates not class struggle, but class collaboration. This reformism is decaying day by day, is day by day losing all semblance of socialism, and, in our opinion, it is totally unnecessary to examine it in these articles when defining socialism. It is altogether different with Marxism and anarchism. Both are at the present time recognized as socialist trends. They are waging a fierce struggle against each other. Both are trying to present themselves to the proletariat as a genuinely socialist doctrine. And of course, a study of comparison of the two will be far more interesting for the reader. We are not the kind of people who, when the word anarchism is mentioned, turn away contemptuously and say with a supercilious wave of the hand, "Why waste time on that? It's not worth talking about." We think that such cheap criticism is undignified and useless. Nor are we the kind of people who console themselves with the thought that the anarchists have no masses behind them and therefore are not so dangerous. It is not who has a large or smaller mass following today, but the essence of the doctrine that matters. If the doctrine of the anarchist expresses the truth, then it goes without saying that it certainly hew a path for itself. Is that a word? What? Like literally never seen this word. Is this a word? Chop. Okay. It will certainly hew a path for itself and will rally the masses around itself. If, however, it is unsound, built on false foundation, it will not last long and will remain suspended in midair. But the unsoundness of the anarchism must be proved. Nice, Caboose. Thanks, Blat. Hello, Von Kauf. Welcome. Some people believe that Marxism and anarchism are based on the same principles, and that the disagreements between them concern only tactics, so that in the opinion of these people, it is quite impossible to draw the contrast between the two trends. This is a great mistake. We believe that the anarchists are the real enemies of Marxism. Accordingly, we hold that a real struggle must be waged against real enemies. Therefore, it is necessary to examine the doctrine of the anarchists from beginning to end and weigh it up thoroughly from all aspects. The point is that Marxism and anarchism are built on entirely different principles, in spite of the fact that both come into an arena of the struggle under the flag of socialism. The cornerstone of anarchism is the individual, whose emancipation, according to its tenets, is the principal condition for the emancipation of the masses, the collective body. According to the tenets of anarchism, the emancipation of the masses is impossible until the individual is emancipated. Accordingly, its slogan is everything for the individual. The cornerstone of Marxism, however, is the masses, whose emancipation, according to its tenets, is the principal condition for the emancipation of the individual. That is to say, according to the tenets of Marxism, the emancipation of the individual is impossible until the masses are emancipated. Accordingly, its slogan is everything for the masses. Clearly, we have here two principles, one negating the other, and not merely disagreements on tactics. The object of our article is to place these two opposite principles side by side, to compare Marxism with anarchism, and thereby throw light on their respective virtues and defects. At this point, we think it's necessary to acquaint the reader with the plan of these articles. We shall begin with a description of Marxism, deal, in passing, with the anarchist view on Marxism, and then proceed to criticize anarchism itself. Namely, we shall expound the dialectical method, and anarchist views on this method, and our criticism, the materialist theory, the anarchist views, and our criticism. Here too we shall discuss the socialist revolution, the socialist dictatorship, the minimum program, and tactics generally. The philosophy of the anarchist is, and our criticism. The socialism of the anarchists and our criticism, anarchist tactics and organization, and in conclusion, we shall give our deductions. Whew. It's already about to get real spicy, I can tell. Somebody called you from work at this time at night? Hell no. Hell no. Everything for the emancipation of children from bedtimes. Blot. SpongeBob. Funny joke. We shall try to prove that, as advocates of small community socialism, the anarchists are not genuine socialists. We shall also try to prove that, insofar as they repudiate the dictatorship of the proletariat, the anarchists are also not genuine revolutionaries. And so, let us proceed with our subject. Okay, so we're going to read this today and tomorrow. So, yeah, just saying. Because it's a little bit long. The dialectical method. Everything in the world is in motion. Life changes. Productive force grows. Old relations collapse. Karl Marx. Marxism is not only the theory of socialism. It is an integral world outlook. A philosophical system from which Marx's proletarian socialism logically follows. This philosophical system is called dialectical materialism. Hence, to expound Marxism means to expound also dialectical materialism. Why is this system called dialectical materialism? Because its method is dialectical and its theory is materialistic. Well, thanks, Stalin. What is the dialectical method? It is said that social life is a continual motion and development, and that is true. Life must not be regarded as something immutable and static. It never remains at one level. It is an eternal motion, in an eternal process of destruction and creation. Therefore, life always contains the new and the old, and the growing and the dying, and the revolutionary and the counter-revolutionary. The dialectical method tells us that we must regard life as it actually is. We have seen that life is in continual motion. Consequently, we must regard life in its motion and ask, where is life going? We have seen that life presents a picture of constant destruction and creation. Consequently, we must examine life in its process of destruction and creation and ask, what is being destroyed and what is being created in life? That which in life is born and grows day by day is invincible. It progresses. Its progress cannot be checked. That is to say, if, for example, in life, the proletariat as a class is born and grows day by day, no matter how weak and small in numbers it may be today, in the long run, it must triumph. Why? Because it is growing, gaining strength, and marching forward. On the other hand, that which in life is growing old and advancing to its grave must inevitably suffer defeat, even if today it represents a titanic force. That is to say, if, for example, the bourgeoisie is gradually losing ground and is slipping farther and farther back every day, then, no matter how strong and numerous it may be today, it must, in the long run, suffer defeat. Why? Because as a class, it is decaying. It is growing feeble, growing old, and becoming a burden to life. Hence arose the well-known dialectical proposition: all that which really exists, i.e., all that which grows day by day is rational, and all that which decays day by day is irrational, and consequently cannot avoid defeat. For example, in the 80s of the last century, a great controversy flared up among the Russian revolutionary intelligentsia. The Narodniks asserted that the main force that could undertake the task of emancipating Russia was the petty bourgeoisie, rural and urban. Why? The Marxists asked them. Because answered the Narodniks, the rural and urban petty bourgeoisie now constitutes the majority, and moreover, they are poor, and they live in poverty. To this, the Marxists replied, it is true that the rural and urban petty bourgeoisie now constitutes the majority and are really poor, but is that the point? The petty bourgeoisie has long constituted a majority, but up until now it has displayed no initiative in the struggle for freedom. Without the assistance of the proletariat. Why? Because the petty bourgeoisie as a class is not growing. On the contrary, it is disintegrating day by day and breaking up into the bourgeois and the proletarians. On the other hand, nor is poverty a decisive importance here. Of course, tramps are poorer than the petty bourgeoisie, but nobody will say that they can undertake the task of emancipating Russia. What the fuck is a tramp? Jesus Christ, Stalin. Jeez. Dialectic these materials, yes. Nice, Caboose. Like the Lady and the Tramp. Oh, yeah. Okay. The dogs are really helping us out here. Okay. As you see, the point is not which class today constitutes a majority, or which class is poorer, but which class is gaining strength and which is decaying. And as the proletariat is the only class which steadily grows in gaining strength, which is pushing social life forward and rallying all the revolutionary elements and itself, our duty is to regard it as the main force in the present-day movement, join its ranks, and make its progressive strivings our strivings. That is how the Marxists answered. Obviously, the Marxists look at life dialectically, whereas the Narodniks argued metaphysically. They pictured social life as having become static at a particular stage. That is how the dialectical method looks upon the development of life. But there is movement and movement. There was movement in social life during the December days when the proletariat, straightening its back, stormed arms depots and launched attacks upon reaction. But the movement of preceding years, when the proletariat, under the conditions of peaceful development, limited itself to individual strikes and the formation of small trade unions, must also be called social movement. Clearly, movement assumes different forms, and so the dialectical method says that movement has two forms, the evolutionary and the revolutionary form. Movement is evolutionary when the progressive elements spontaneously continue their daily activities and introduce minor quantitative changes into that old order. Movement is revolutionary when the same element combined become imbued with a single idea and sweep down upon the enemy camp with the object of uprooting the old order and of introducing qualitative changes in life, of establishing a new order. Evolution prepares for revolution and creates the ground for it. Revolution consummates the process of evolution and facilitates its further activity. What up? Welcome in. Similar processes take place in nature. The history of science shows that the dialectical method is a truly scientific method. From astronomy to sociology, in every field we find confirmation of the idea that nothing is eternal in the universe. Everything changes. Everything develops. Consequently, everything in nature must be regarded from the point of view of movement, of development. And this means that the spirit of dialectics permeates the whole of present-day science. As regards to forms of movement, as regards the fact that, according to dialectics, minor quantitative changes sooner or later lead to major qualitative changes, this law applies with equal force to the history of nature. Oh God. Mendeleev's periodic system of elements clearly shows how very important in the history of nature is the emergence of qualitative changes out of quantitative changes. The same thing is shown in biology by theory of neo-Lamarckism, to which neo-Darwinism is yielding place. We shall say nothing about other facts on which Engels has thrown sufficiently full light in his Anti-Düring. Such is the content of the dialectical method. Oh, we gotta read that next. That one. I haven't read that one either. We are not gonna talk about China right now. I do not want to talk about China right now. Maybe another day we can have a China talk. Core. How do the anarchists look upon the dialectical method? Right choice. Everybody knows that Hegel was the father of the dialectical method. Marx purged and improved this method. The anarchists are aware of this, of course. They know that Hegel was a conservative, and so, taking advantage of this, they vehemently revile Hegel as a supporter of restoration. They try with the utmost zeal to prove that Hegel is a philosopher of restoration, and that he eulogizes bureaucratic constitutionalism in its absolute form, and the general idea of his philosophy of his subordinate to and serves the philosophical trend of the period of restoration, and so on and so forth. The well-known anarchist Kropotkin tries to prove the same thing in his work. See, for example, his Science and Anarchism in Russian. Our Kropotkinites, oh shit, Stalin is gonna, ooh, our Kropotkinites from, oh fuck, I can't say that. I can't even say that. Cherkasishvili. Okay, that's how I'm going to say it. Butchered the hell out of that. Right down to the... What this all with one voice echo Kropotkin. I don't think I'll ever read Hegel. That's funny. True, nobody contests what they say on this point. On the contrary, everybody agrees that Hegel was not a revolutionary. Marx and Engels themselves proved before anybody else did in their Critique of Critical Criticism. Oh my god, I love that they wrote that. I've never read that either. God, I have so much unread communist literature. Critique of Critical Criticism. That's really funny. Oh my god. Yeah. Individual ownership of what? What do you want to own? I thought you said you were a communist. What's the deal? True. Nobody can... Okay, so the individual ownership of what? True. Nobody contests what they say on this point. On the contrary, everybody... Oh, fucking, I already read that. That Hegel's view on history fundamentally contradicts the idea of the sovereignty of people. But in spite of this, the anarchists go on to try and prove and deem it necessary to go on day in and day out trying to prove that Hegel was a supporter of restoration. Why do they do this? Probably in order by all to this to discredit Hegel and make their readers feel that the reactionary Hegel's method also cannot be other than repugnant and unscientific. What up, Sean? Merle. The anarchists think that they can refute the Sean, sorry. We're reading Anarchism or Socialism by Joseph Stalin. But I'm pretty sure it's not talking about your type of anarchism. So, just telling you. Okay. Like awkward. We affirm that in this way they can prove nothing but their own ignorance. Pascal and Leibniz were not revolutionaries, but the mathematical method they discovered is recognized today as a scientific method. Mayer and Helmholtz were not revolutionaries, but their discoveries in the field of physics became the basis of science. Nor were Lamarck and Darwin revolutionaries, but their evolutionary method put biological science on its feet. Why then should the facts not be admitted that, in spite of this conservatism, Hegel succeeded in working out a scientific method which is called dialectical materialism? The dialectical method. No, in this way, the anarchists will prove nothing but their own ignorance. To proceed in the opinion of the anarchists, dialectics is metaphysics, and as they want to free science from metaphysics, philosophy, and from theology, they repudiate the dialectical method. Oh, those anarchists. As the saying goes, blame others for your own sins. Shit. Dialectics matured into the struggle against metaphysics and gained fame in this struggle. But according to the anarchists, dialectics is metaphysics. That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense if you know what dialectics is or metaphysics. Like, this doesn't make sense. Dialectics tells us that nothing in the world is eternal. Everything in the world is transient and mutable. Nature changes, society changes, habits and customs change, conceptions of justice change, truth itself changes. That is why dialectics regards everything critically. That is why it denies the existence of a once and for all established truth. Consequently, it also repudiates abstract dogmatic propositions which, once discovered, had merely to be learned by heart. Metaphysics, however, tells us something altogether. From its standpoint, the world is something eternal and immutable. And it has been once and for all determined by someone or something. That is why the metaphysicians always have eternal justice and immutable truth on their lips. Proudhon, the father of the anarchists, said that their existence in the world and immutable justice determined once and for all must be made by the basis of future society. That is why Proudhon had been called the metaphysician. Marx fought Proudhon with the aid of the dialectical method and proved that since everything in the world changes, justice must also change, and that, consequently, immutable justice is metaphysical nonsense. The Georgian disciples of the metaphysician Proudhon, however, keep reiterating that Marx's dialectics is metaphysics. He seems pretty pissed, you guys. Yeah, I know he wrote a lot about, like, self-determination, of, like, marginalized people. Like, he wrote about, like, the national question. So, yeah. I don't know. Stalin was pretty fucking pog in that way. Pretty pog. Okay. Metaphysics recognizes various nebulous dogmas. For example, the unknowable, the thing in itself, and in the long run passes into empty theology. In contrast to Proudhon and Spencer, Engels combated these dogmas with the aid of the dialectical method. But the anarchists, the disciples of Proudhon and Spencer, tell us that Proudhon and Spencer were scientists, whereas Marx and Engels were metaphysicians. Ha! I feel like he's missing that. One of two things. Either the anarchists are deceiving themselves, else they know not what they are talking about. At all events, it is beyond a doubt that the anarchists confuse Hegel's metaphysical system with his dialectical method. Needless to say, Hegel's philosophical system which rests on immutable ideas, is from beginning to end metaphysical. But it is also clear that Hegel's dialectical method, which repudiates all immutable ideas, is from beginning to end scientific and revolutionary. This is why Karl Marx, who subjected Hegel's metaphysical system to devastating criticism, at the same time praised his dialectical method, which, as Marx said, let nothing impose upon it, and is in its essence critical and revolutionary. Oh, that's neat, Sean. Capitalism is progressive over feudalism and slave society, obviously, but it's still exploitative. What? Coexist? Excuse you? What are you talking about right now? No, we are not market socialists. Oh, what a dummy. Male WNBA, you're an idiot. Okay, no problem, Bonka. But, I don't know if coexist is the right word for that. If you mean by coexist that socialism needs to violently suppress the bourgeoisie, then and the capitalists, then yeah, they should coexist like that. That's not even a thing. China, new definition of China just dropped. China is now anarchist. Got it? Heard it here first. The workers and the capitalists should unite together against the Voschites. Oh my god. What the fuck? Real anarchism. Now, be nice. Don't mock. Just don't mock. Welcome, A-list drift. Capitalists would side with the Voschites immediately. Oh my god. Okay, you're leaving. I don't know who you are, but you're leaving. Bye. Ugh. I don't know who you are, but okay, I'm gonna continue reading. Don't follow me. I just blocked you. Don't do that. That's weird. Okay. People are so weird. Okay. Okay. That is why Engels sees a big difference between Hegel's method and his system. Whoever placed the chief emphasis on the Hegelian system could be fairly conservative in both spheres. Whoever regarded the dialectical method as the main thing could belong to the most extreme opposition, both in politics and religion. The anarchists fail to see the difference, or this difference, and thoughtlessly maintain that dialectics is metaphysics. To proceed, the anarchist says that the dialectical method is subtle word weaving, the method of sophistry, logical somersaults, with the aid, oh my god, people do that, like, people do say, logical somersaults. What do they say? Like, what's the thing that we say today? I can't fucking remember. Yeah, mental gymnastics. There we go. Yes. That's perfect. With the aid of which both truth and falsehood are proved with equal facility. Thus, the opinion of the anarchists and the dialectical method proves both true and falsehood. At the first sight, it would seem that the accusation advanced by the anarchists has some foundation. Listen, for example, to what Engels says about the follower of the metaphysical method. His communication is yeah, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more important, or is more than the cometh of evil. For him, the thing either exists or does not exist. It is equally impossible for a thing to be itself and at the same time something else. Positive and negative absolutely exclude one another. How is that? The anarchists cry heatedly. It is possible for a thing to be good and bad at the same time. That is sophistry, juggling with words. It shows you that you want to prove the truth and falsehood with equal facility. Let us, however, go into the substance of the matter. Today we are demanding a democratic republic. Can we say that the democratic republic is good in all respects or bad in all respects? No, we cannot. Why? Because the democratic republic is good in only one respect, when it destroys the feudal system, but it is bad in another respect, when it strengthens the bourgeois system. Hence, we say, insofar as the democratic republic destroys the feudal system, it is good, and we fight for it. But insofar as it strengthens the bourgeoisie systems, it is bad, and we fight against it. So the same democratic republic can be good and bad at the same time. It is a yes and no. The same thing may be said about the 8-hour day, which is good and bad at the same time. Good insofar as it strengthens the proletariat, and bad insofar as it strengthens the wage system. It was fact of this kind that Engels had in mind when he characterized the dialectical method in the words we quoted above. The anarchists, however, failed to understand this, and an absolutely clear idea seems to them to be nebulous sophistry. Anarchists are, of course, at liberty to note or ignore these facts. They may even ignore the sand on the sandy seashore. They have every right to do that. But why drag in the dialectical method, which, unlike anarchism, does not look at life with its eyes shut, which has its finger on the pulse of life and openly says, since life changes and it is in motion, every phenomenon of life has two trends. It is positive and negative, and first we must defend, and second we must reject. To proceed further, in the opinion of our anarchists, dialectical development is catastrophic development, by means of which, first the past is utterly destroyed, and then the future is established quite separately. Cuvier's cataclysms were due to unknown cause, but Marx and Engels' catastrophes are engendered by dialectics. In another place, the same author writes, Marxism rests on Darwinism and treats it uncritically. Now listen. Cuvier rejects Darwin's theory of evolution. He recognizes only cataclysms, and cataclysms are unexpected upheavals due to unknown causes. The anarchist says that the Marxists adhere to Cuvier's view and therefore repudiate Darwinism. Darwin rejects Cuvier's cataclysms. He recognizes gradual evolution. But at the same time, anarchists say that Marxism rests on Darwinism and treats it uncritically, i.e. the Marxists repudiate Cuvier's cataclysms. Mental gymnastics versus logical somersaults. I like that. Stalin does have funny jokes. Now listen. Yeah, we read a lot of Mao. We love Mao here. I think the last thing we read actually was on contradiction. Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay, where are we at? In short, the anarchists accuse the Marxists of adhering to Cuvier's, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, I'm probably not, but whatever, Cuvier's view. At the same time, reproach them for adhering to Darwin's and not to Cuvier's view. This is anarchy if you like. As the saying goes, the sergeant widow flogged herself. Oh fuck! Oh fuck. Was that a cop joke? I was a The sergeant's widow flogged herself. Jesus. Jesus. That's terrible, Stalin. I don't know what the SHG of number 8 of the nobody forgot, but I don't know. I think that SHG is a person. I don't know what that is. Let us turn to the facts. Marx says, at a certain stage of their development, the material productive forces of society come in conflict with the existing relations of production, or what is but a legal expression for the same thing, with property relations. Then begins an epoch of social revolution. But no social order ever perishes before all the productive forces for which there is room in it have developed. If this thesis of Marx is applied to modern social life, we shall find that between the present-day productive forces, which are social in character, and the form of appropriation of the product, which is private in character, there are fundamental conflicts which must culminate in the socialist revolution. As you see in the opinion of Marx and Engels, revolution is engendered not by Cuvier's unknowing causes, but by very definite and vital social causes called the development of the productive forces. As you see in the opinion of Marx and Engels, revolution comes only when the productive forces have sufficiently matured and not unexpectedly as Cuvier thought. Clearly, there is nothing in common between Cuvier's cataclysms and Marx's dialectical method. On the other hand, Darwinism repudiates not only Cuvier's cataclysms, but also dialectically understood development, which includes revolution, whereas from the standpoint of the dialectical method, evolution and revolution, quantitative and qualitative changes, are two essential forms of the same motion. Obviously, it is also wrong to assert that Marxism treats Darwinism uncritically. It turns out, therefore, that no body is wrong in both cases in number 6 and as well as in number 8. So I guess like nobody wrote some shit that I have not read. Lastly, the anarchists tell us reproachfully that dialectics provides no possibility of getting or jumping out of oneself or jumping over oneself. Now that is the downright truth. Monsieur Anarchist, how are you absolutely right, my dear sirs. The dialectical method does not indeed provide such a possibility. But why not? Because jumping out of oneself or jumping over oneself is an exercise for wild goats. Why a dialectical method was created for human beings. Okay. Okay. I love him. It's very funny. Hello, Adobe Cole. Welcome in. Right. It can be done in one stroke. It takes time. Socialism is a process, and it's a process towards communism. And that process looks different wherever it occurs, right? It's not the process of socialism and communism is not going to look the same in every place. This is known by Marxists. Oh my god. Oh my god, Adobe Cult. Yeah. CPUSA has like really been acting like asses. I blocked a bunch too. Actually I have to use the restroom really quick, but I will put on something. You know what, we're gonna go back to an old Sal special. Let's see if this one's good. No, I don't like that. Okay. I will be right back. BRB. you on the wall? Ugh. Okay, let me see. Actually, I want to go to CPUSA. Sorry, I'm looking for something really quick. Sorry, I'm almost done. I can't put what I'm looking for right now, but I will find it later. Okay. Yeah, I think I saw something today that said that they don't like believe in, I don't know, I was looking at artsy Marxist stuff, and I was not impressed with CPUSA, but okay, I'm actually gonna read the last paragraph that I read over because it was funny and it made me laugh, so I'm gonna do it again. All right, here we go. Wait, you can see? Wait, what do you see? What do you mean, Sean? I have no idea what you're referring to. No? Why do I look high? Okay. Now that is the downright truth, Monsieur Anarchist. Here, you're absolutely right, my dear sirs. The dialectical method does not indeed provide such a possibility. But why not? Because jumping out of oneself or jumping over oneself is an exercise for wild goats. While the dialectical method was created for human beings. That is the secret. Such, in general, are the anarchists' views on the dialectical method. Clearly, the anarchists fail to understand the dialectical method of Marx and Engels and have conjured up their own dialectics, and it is against this dialectics that they are fighting so ruthlessly. All we can do is laugh as we gaze at this spectacle, for one cannot help but laughing when one sees a man fighting his own imagination, smashing his own inventions, while at the same time heatedly asserting that he is smashing the opponent. Oh, fuck. 2. The materialist theory. It is not the consciousness of men that determines their being, but, on the contrary, their social being that determines their consciousness. And that is materialism, folks. That right there is materialism. And the opposite of materialism is idealism. And idealism says that your thoughts are what change the world, right? So that's opposite. Okay? Yes, Stalin did just predict Twitter fights. Yeah, he's very funny. I'm thinking of the Stalin laughing gif now. Tsar Nicholas was kicked out by the Bolsheviks after rolling the worst blunt ever. I am, therefore I think. I need orgs to find people. It's a huge city. Yeah. Tribune also could probably help you find people as well. But yeah, from what I saw, well, I don't want to actually say this until I find it myself. When I find this on the website myself, I will say it. But I didn't see good things. We already know what the dialectical method is. What is materialist theory? Yeah. I'm curious to know what people in CPUSA are like doing. Like, what are they working on right now? You know? Yeah, you can also start your own cadre. You absolutely can. Yeah, you can. Okay. Everything in the world changes. Everything in life develops. But how do these changes take place, and in what form does this development proceed? We know, for example, that the Earth was once an incandescent, fiery mass. Then it gradually cooled. Plants and animals appeared and developed, or the development of the animal kingdom was followed by the appearance of certain species of ape. And all this was followed by the appearance of man. This, broadly speaking, is the way nature developed. I think he skipped a few steps there, but you get it. Nice, Sean. That's good shit. That's silly. Right, exactly. It'll be cool. We also know that social life did not remain static either. There was a time when men lived on a primitive communist basis. At that time, they gave their livelihood by primitive hunting. Primitive. But it's not primitive, right? It just means earlier. Earlier communism. At that time, they gained their livelihood by hunting. They roamed through the forests and procured their food in that way. There came a time when early communism was superseded by the matriarchate. And at that time, men satisfied their needs by means of primitive agriculture, early agriculture. Later, the matriarchate was superseded by the patriarchate, under which men gained their livelihood mainly by cattle breeding. The patriarchate was later superseded by the slave-owning system, and at that time men gave their livelihoods by means of relatively more developed agriculture. The slave-owning system was followed by feudalism, and then after all this came the bourgeois system. Yeah, it's not primitive. Like, that is wrong. It's the wrong terminology. It's the wrong term for that. Because these societies, early societies, were not primitive at all. Usually Stalin is better about that. Yeah, he really is. He's pretty good about it. But, yeah. Okay. That, broadly speaking, is the way social life developed. Yes, all of this is well known, but how did this development take place? Did consciousness call forth the development of nature and of society, or, on the contrary, did the development of nature and society call forth the development of consciousness? This is how the materialist theory presents the question. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it could be a translation thing too. He calls that English language for being anti-indigenous. Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Von Wall. This is how... Oh, whoops. Some people say that nature and social life were preceded by the universal idea, which subsequently served as the basis of their development, so that the development of the phenomena of nature and social life is, so to speak, an external form, merely the expression of the development of the universal idea. Such, for example, was the doctrine of the idealists, who in the course of time split up into several trends. Others say that from the very beginning there have existed in the world two mutually negating forces. The idea, sometimes I just like to add words or delete words. My bad. Idea and matter, conscious and being, and that correspondingly phenomena also fall into two categories. The ideal and material, which negate each other. Remember I told you the difference, right? They are the opposite and contend against each other, so that the development of nature and society is a constant struggle between ideal and material phenomena. Such, for example, was the doctrine of the dualists, who, in the course of time, like the idealists, split up into several trends. The materialist utterly repudiates both dualism and idealism. Of course, both ideal and material phenomena exist in the world, but this does not mean that they negate each other. On the contrary, the ideal and the material side are two different forms of the one and the same nature of society. One cannot be conceived without the other. They exist together, develop together, and consequently we have no grounds whatever to think that they negate each other. Thus, so-called dualism proves to be unsound. A single and indivisible nature expressed into two forms, material and ideal, single and indivisible social life expressed in two different forms, material and ideal. This is how we should regard the development of nature and social life. Such is the monism of the materialist theory. At the same time, the materialist theory also repudiates idealism. It is wrong to think that in its development, the ideal side and consciousness in general precedes the development of the material side. Stalin has a weirdly good understanding of indigenous ways of viewing the world with his avoidance of dualism. It's pretty fucking cool. So-called external non-living nature existed before there was any living beings. The first living matter possessed no consciousness. It possessed only irritability and the first rudiments of sensation. Later, animals gradually developed the power of sensation, which slowly passed to consciousness. In conformity with the development of the structure of their organisms and nervous systems. If the ape had always walked on all fours, if it had never stood upright, its descendant, man, would not have been able to freely use his lungs and vocal cords, and therefore would not have been able to speak. And that would have fundamentally held back the development, which is what that word means. I'm just not going to say that word. It held back the development of his consciousness. If, furthermore, the ape had not risen up on his hind legs, its descendant, man, would have been compelled always to walk on all fours, to look downwards to obtain his impression only from there. He would have been unable to look up and around himself, and consequently his brain would have obtained no more impressions than the brain of the quadruped. I think that's how you say that. All this would have fundamentally held back the development of the consciousness. Oh my god, yeah, that crossover was terrible. Yikes. Yikes. Okay. It follows, therefore, that the development of consciousness needs a particular structure of the organisms and development of its nervous system. It follows, therefore, that the development of the ideal side of the development of consciousness is preceded by the development of the material side, the development of the external condition. First, the external condition changes. First, the material side changes. Then, consciousness changes. The ideal side changes accordingly. Right? That makes fucking sense. Thus, the history of development of nature utterly refutes so-called idealism. The same thing must be said about the history of the development of human society. History shows that if at different times men were imbued with different ideas and desires, the reason for this is that at different times men fought nature in different ways to satisfy their needs, and accordingly their economic relations assumed different forms. There was a time when men fought nature collectively on the basis of primitive communism. Early communism. At that time, their property was communist property, and therefore at that time they drew scarcely any distinction between mine or thine, and their consciousness was communistic. There came a time when the distinction between mine and thine penetrated the process of production, and that time property too assumed a private, individualistic character, and therefore the consciousness of men became imbued with a sense of private property. Then came the present time, when production is again assuming a social character, and consequently property too will soon assume a social character. And this is precisely why the consciousness of men is gradually becoming imbued with socialism. Welcome in, Comrade Clever Name. Lovely to see you. Okay, do we have any can we get a shout out for Comrade Clever Name? Also, I want to say that I joined a stream team. Let me find it. Guess what we're called? It's really cute. said, guess what we're called? Ooh, I'm playing on right now. Nice. Okay, so here's the stream team. Wow. The Materialists. This is the team. There's lots of cool people on here. Okay. We got the us, the Feminist Critique, Sebs, Gromsterino, Azure Scapegoat, Bleep Blump Ben, Rob Rousseau, Pipper Papper, and Miss Nixa. Pretty cool. Yay. No, Quiche, you cheated. The Scarlet Lounge. No, it was almost called the fucking Crimson Lounge, but I just named the group chat that instead. I'm actually going to be right back. I'm gonna get a drink. Sorry. I've been reading so much that my shit needs some shit. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Here, look at this. BRB, sweaty. I'm not shitting. Shut up. I'm not shitting. I'm getting a drink. Relax. I am drinking delicious coconut seltzer. So good. Love it. Whoever's the camera person is terrible. Well, that's a nice shot. Okay. I know what y'all are organizing, arguing about, but okay. this over CPUSA? Listen, let the people who want to join CPUSA join, and let the people who don't. Like, join a different organization. I'm a part of an organization, and it is not CPUSA. Okay? There are ones that exist. Granted. Well, I work with Tribune. That's why I always tell you to join Tribune. I trust them. Yeah, I like Tribune a lot. There isn't, but there definitely should be blot. Do you know how to do that? I think that you should definitely try to email them and see. Yeah, I think that they can definitely help you get hooked up. Like, that's what they do. Yeah. I'm not gonna click that. I don't know you. Is it fine? Alright, hold on. Okay. Okay. That's fair. Fair. Damn it. Got my fucking credit card info. Hey, well, you're not gonna like what you find there. That's all I'm saying. Will you start paying the bill? Hell yeah. You take my student debt. Please. Please take it. Somebody take it. Yes, you know what? I will put Tribune in the chat. Just if you are looking for somebody in your area that is not CPUSA, you should just email them. Just email them and be like, hey, this is my area, and is there anyone close to me that can work with me? And they're gonna help you find somebody. So that's who I recommend. Okay. I don't want it. I don't want it either. Pay dues to the Red Army. Let's go. Let's go. Adobe cult. Thank you. Yes, touching grass is good for everyone. So, like, the main point of this whole stream, right? This stream's goal is to kind of, educate you guys on, and myself and everybody, on, Marxism, and also to encourage everyone to go and act, right? Because learning about it is good, right? But they always say being able to recite facts is not it. Okay, it's not whether you can say everything perfectly. It's whether or not you use what you learned to change the world. Okay? That's what it is. So, yes, it's good if you know it. You have to know it to be revolutionary, right? Then you use that to go change the world. Please do that. please. Okay. Nice. Oh my god. It's so funny that you asked that. I don't know if you've ever been to our Monday night shows, which are on hiatus right now, but we do Revolutionary Kicks, which is where we will watch a movie with some revolutionary aspects to it on Sunday night in a Discord. And then the next day, Monday, Hayes goes over that movie in like painstaking detail, like all the revolutionary aspects. And then we all decide together whether we should keep those revolutionary aspects or kick them. And then we give the movie a rating, whether it's like revolutionary or like communist sympathetic or liberal or I think fascist or whatever. So yeah, we talk about movies all the time. It's really cool. Have you seen Breaking with Old Ideas? I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that one. What's the ones we've seen? We've seen Goodbye Lenin. We've seen shit. That's the only one I can think of right now. What are the other ones? Hello, Paint. Yeah, red, pink, liberal, or fashion. The Red Detachment of Women. Yeah, we saw that one. I actually missed that one. Che. Yeah, we saw Che. Cloud Atlas. God, I hated Cloud Atlas so much. Okay, back to reading. Here is a simple illustration. Let us take a shoemaker who owned a tiny workshop, but who, unable to withstand the competition of big manufacturers, closed his workshop and took a job, say, at Aldekhanov's shoe factory in Tiflis. He went to work at Aldekhanov's factory not with the view of to become a permanent wage worker, but with the object of saving up some money, of accumulating a little capital to enable him to reopen his workshop. As you see, this position of shoemaker is already proletarian. Thanks for following, I think. 1926? Ooh, nice. That sounds cool. Where am I at? But his consciousness is still non-proletarian. It is thoroughly petty bourgeois. In other words, the shoemaker has already lost his petty bourgeois position. It has gone. But his petty bourgeois consciousness has not yet gone. It has lagged behind his actual position. Clearly here too in social life, first the external condition changed. First the condition of man changed, and then their consciousness changed accordingly. But let us return to our shoemaker. As we already know, he intends to save up some money and then reopen his workshop. This proletarianized shoemaker goes on working, but finds that it is very difficult. It's a very difficult matter to save up money because what he earns is barely suffices to maintain an existence. Moreover, he realizes that the opening of a private workshop is, after all, not so alluring. The rent he will have to pay for the premise, the caprices of customers, shortage of money, the competition of the big manufacturer, and similar worries. Such are the many troubles that torment the private workshop owner. On the other hand, the proletarian is relatively freer from such cares. He is not troubled by customers or by having to pay rent for his premise. He goes to the factory every morning calmly, goes home to the evening and as calmly pockets his pay on Saturday. Here, for the first time, the wings of our shoemaker's petty bourgeois dreams are clipped. Here, for the first time, proletarian strivings awaken his soul. Time passes, and our shoemaker sees that he does not have enough money to satisfy his most essential needs. That what he needs very badly is a rise in wages. At the same time, he hears his fellow workers talking about unions and strikes. Here, our shoemaker realizes that in order to improve his own conditions, he must fight the masters and not open a workshop of his own. He joins the union, enters the strike movement, and soon becomes imbued with socialist ideas. Thus, in the long run, the change in the shoemaker's material condition was followed by a change in his consciousness. First, his material condition changed, and then, after time, his consciousness changed accordingly. The same must be said about the class and about society as a whole. The social life, too. First, the external condition changed. First, the material condition changed, and then the ideas of men, their habits, customs, and their world outlook changed accordingly. That is why Marx says it is not the consciousness of men that determines their being, but on the contrary, their social being that determines their consciousness. If we can call the material side the external conditions, being, and other phenomena of the same kind the content, then we can call the ideal side consciousness and the other phenomena the same kind the form. Hence arose the well-known materialist position. In the process of development, content precedes form. Form lags behind content. And as, in Marx's opinion, economic development is the material foundation of social life, its content, while legal, political, and religious philosophical development is the ideological form of this content, its superstructure, Marx draws the conclusion that with the change of the economic foundation, the entire immense superstructure is more or less rapidly transformed. This, of course, does not mean that in Marx's opinion, content is possible without form, as I wish I knew who G was. See Nobody, number 1. Critique of Monism. See, like, this is the thing about reading this shit, is you're always gonna have to read more shit. Like, like you can't just read this one thing and, like, understand. Like, you have to read, like, other shit. Shoogly googly. Thanks. Satrin? No. And also, hi. Welcome. Never-ending reading. Yes! A communist reading is never done. Okay. Content is impossible without form. But the point is that since given form lags behind its content, it never fully corresponds to this content. And so the new content is obliged to clothe itself for a time in its old form. And this causes a conflict between them. At the present time, for example, the form of appropriation of the product, which is private in character, does not correspond to the social context of production, and this is the basis of present-day social conflict. On the other hand, the idea that consciousness is a form of being does not mean that by its nature consciousness, too, is matter. That was the opinion held only by the vulgar materialists, for example, Buchner and Molschat, whose theories fundamentally contradict Marx's materialism and whom Engels rightly ridiculed in his Ludwig Feuerbach. According to Marx's materialism, consciousness and being, idea and matter, are two different forms of the same phenomenon, which, broadly speaking, is called nature or society. Consequently, they do not negate each other, nor are they one and the same phenomenon. The only point is that, in the development of nature and society, consciousness, i.e., what takes place in our heads, is preceded by corresponding material change, i.e., what takes place outside of us. And any given material change is sooner or later inevitably followed by a corresponding ideal change. Very well, we shall be told, perhaps this is true, as applied to the history of nature and society. But how do different conceptions and ideas arise in our heads at the present time? Do so-called external conditions really exist? Or is this only our conception of these external conditions that exist? And if external conditions exist, to what degree are they perceptible and cognizable? Nice, Caboose. What up, Lawsu? Yeah, we know, Jankwing. We just meme heavy over here about Trot. Meme super heavy about it. Check it out. We joke. Just joking. Or are we? Idealists be like Mandela effect, am I right? No, but for real, what's going on with the Mandela effect? Spooky. Mandela. Not Nelson Mandela. That's hilarious. The Nelson Mandela effect. That's the thing. Wait, this isn't my new username, Lost to. Wait, are you talking to me? Is it named after Mandela? Mandela? Oh my god. It is named after him? Why? Why is it named after him? Wow. Maybe this is the Mandela effect happening, right? Because I did not know that, right? Oh, okay. So in like one like place he died and one he was alive. Wait, he's alive in this one, right? He's alive, right? Wait, is he dead? Is he alive? Fuck. He's one of the historic figures people claim to have different dimensions memories of, yeah. He died but not in jail. I think he's alive. Oh my god. Shut up, Caboose. No, you did not. Caboose is such a liar. Listen. It's too much for me. And this is the Bernstein thing, too. Am I right? The Bears? Bernstein? Yeah. The Bears. Okay. On this point, the materialist theory says that our conception of our self exists only insofar as external conditions exist that give rise to impression in ourself. Whoever unthinkingly says that nothing exists but our conceptions is compelled to deny the existence of all external conditions and consequently must deny the existence of all other people and admit the existence of only his own self, which is absurd and utterly contradicts the principle of science. Obviously, external conditions do actually exist. These conditions existed before us, and they will exist after us. And the more often and the more strongly they affect our consciousness, the more easily perceptible and cognizable do they become. As regards the question as to how different conceptions and ideas arise in our heads at the present time, we must observe that here we have a repetition in brief of what takes place in the history of nature and society. In this case, too, the object outside of us preceded our conception of it. In this case, too, our conception, the form, lags behind the object, behind its content. When I look at a tree and I see it, that only shows that this tree existed even before the conception of the tree arose in my head. That it was this tree that aroused the corresponding conception in my head. Such, in brief, is the content of Marx's materialist theory. The importance of the materialist theory for the practical activities of mankind can be readily understood. If the economic conditions change first and the consciousness of man undergoes the corresponding change later, it's clear that we must seek the grounds for the given ideal not in the minds of men, not in their imaginations, but in the development of their economic conditions. That the ideal is good and acceptable, which is based on the study of economic conditions. All those ideals which ignore economic conditions and are not based upon their development are useless and unacceptable. This is the first practical conclusion to be drawn from the materialist theory. If the consciousness of men and their habits and customs are determined by external conditions, if the unsuitability of legal and political forms rests on the economic content, it is clear that we must help to bring about radical changes in economic relations in order, with this change, to bring about radical change in the habits and customs of the people, and in their political system. Here is what Karl Marx said on that score. No great acumen is required to perceive the necessary interconnection of materialism with socialism. If man constructs all his knowledge, perceptions, etc., from a world of sense, then it follows that it is a question of so arranging the empirical world that he experiences the truly human in it, that he becomes accustomed to experiencing himself as a human being. If man is unfree of the materialist sense, that is not by reason of negative forces being able to avoid this or that, but by reason of the positive power to assert his true individuality, then one should not punish individuals for crime, but rather destroy the antisocial breeding places of crime. If man is molded circumstances, then the circumstances must be molded humanly. Such is the second practical conclusion to be drawn from the materialist theory. What's happening here? I do not know what's happening in the chat. Maybe that is like I don't know what's happening. Heteroromantic demisexual, which means sometimes have sex. So word salad. Just saying words. Okay. I like to say words too. I'll say some more. What is the anarchist view of the materialist theory of Marx and Engels? While the dialectical method originated with Hegel, the materialist theory is a further development of the materialist of Feuerbach. No, Feuerbach. Feuerbach. I'm saying that way bad. Shut up, don't judge me. The anarchists know this very well, and they try to take advantage of the defects of Hegel and Feuerbach to discredit the dialectical materialism of Marx and Engels. We have already shown, with reference to Hegel and the dialectical method, that these tricks of the anarchists prove nothing but their own ignorance. The same must be said with reference... Oh my god. Oh. Exhausted. With reference to their attacks on Feuerbach and the materialist theory. For example, the anarchists tell us with a great aplomb that Feuerbach was a pantheist, that he defied man, that in Feuerbach's opinion man is what he eats, alleging that from this Marx drew the following conclusion: consequently, the main and primary thing is economic conditions. True, nobody has any doubts about Feuerbach's pantheism. His what the is this defecation? Wait. What the deification. Okay. Deificate. Wait. Hold on. Yeah. Deification of man. Like defecation, what? Deification makes a little more sense. I'm sorry. Definitions are liberalism. Caboose, shut up. Revisionist. His defecation of man. I'm so sorry. I'm a child. The other errors of his and of the same kind. On the contrary, Marx and Engels were the first to reveal Feuerbach's errors. Nevertheless, the anarchists deem it necessary once again to expose the already exposed errors. Why? Probably because in reviling Feuerbach, they want indirectly to discredit the materialist theory of Marx and Engels. Of course, if we examine the subject impartially, we shall certainly find that in addition to erroneous ideas, Feuerbach gave utterance to correct ideas, and has been the case with many scholars in history. Nevertheless, the anarchist goes on exposing. We say that by tricks of this kind, they proved nothing but their own ignorance. But it is interesting to note, as we shall see later on, that the anarchists took it into their heads to criticize the materialist theory from hearsay, without any acquaintance with it. As a consequence, they often contradict and refute each other, which, of course, makes our critics look ridiculous. If, for example, we listen to what Cherkasishvili had to say, it would appear that Marx and Engels detested monistic materialism and that their materialism was vulgar and non-monistic materialism. The great science of the naturalists, with its system of evolution, transformism, and monistic materialism, which Engels so heartily detested, avoided dialectics. Yeah, I read theory. You should DM me on Twitter, Xingqing. I want to talk to you more. Where am I at? Another anarchist, however, says that the materialism of Marx and Engels... Oh, fuck, did I already read that one? And therefore should be rejected. Monistic. At on authority bot. Hold on, let me see. Why can't I find you? Oh no, did I block you? Let's see. No, I didn't block you. You're right here. Okay. Okay. Where am I at? Marx's conception of history is a throwback to Hegel. The mystic materialism of absolute objectivism in general and Marx's economic monism in particular are impossible in nature and fallacious in theory. Fallacious, not fallacious, fallacious in theory. What a nice word, fallacious in theory. Monistic materialism is poorly disguised dualism and a compromise between metaphysics and science. It would follow, therefore, that monistic materialism is unacceptable, that Marx and Engels do not detest it, but on the contrary, they themselves are monistic materialists, and therefore, monistic materialism must be rejected. They're all at 6s and 7s. Try and make them out which of them is right, the former or the latter. They have not yet agreed among themselves about the merits or demerits of Marx's materialism and have not yet understood whether it is monistic or not, and have not yet made up their minds themselves to which is more acceptable, vulgar or monistic materialism, but they already deafen us with their boastful claims and have shattered Marxism. Hey, I just want to tell you what this is right here. And what, like, most of these writings that we read are. This is a giant subtweet. Okay? This is a fucking subtweet. I'm sorry. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. I block people for all sorts of reasons. Really. Chief Pontiac. Nice. I am blocked by Black Red Card. Nice. Thanks for being here, Xingqing. It was nice talking to you. Have a nice night. A bunch of mine, Sean? Or Caboose's? Oh, we've actually done quite a good bit today. Look at this. We've, oh, you can't see it, but we have almost done halfway through this book, so yay us. Oh, nice. Oh, does it? Well, I'm just a dummy, so that's why I didn't pronounce it for a long time, and then I just decided that since I was like butchering things, I'd just go ahead and do that too. Okay. Jianqing. Sean. Video games are teaching you. That's hilarious. Well, if Monsieur the Anarchists continue to shatter each other's view as zealously as they are doing now, we need say no more. The future belongs to the anarchists. No less ridiculous is the fact that certain celebrated? Is this a word? I think maybe it's celebrate and they spelled it wrong. I don't know. I'm too stupid. Oh yeah, it's celebrity. It's certain. Oh, okay. It's to turn into a celebrity. Hello, Ben. Video games are authoritarian, and that's Pog. Okay. We are reading Anarchism or Socialism. Shut up, Caboose. Yeah, go to bed. Get yourself some food. Wait, cutting your hair? You can cut your hair. That's also authoritarian according to white anarchists on Twitter. Okay, so celebrated means to turn into a celebrity, apparently. That's, he just made up his own word. Have not yet made themselves familiar with the different trends in society. Or I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. No, we don't fucking like Trotsky. The only cool thing he did was fucking Magnolia. That's it. That's it! Okay. It appears that they are ignorant of the fact that there are various kinds of materialism in science which differ and a great deal from each other. There is, for example, vulgar materialism, which denies the importance of the ideal side and the effect it has upon the material side. But there is also so-called monistic materialism, the materialist thought of Marx, which scientifically examines the interrelation between the ideal and material side. But the anarchists confuse these different kinds of materialism and fail to see even the obvious difference between them, and at the same time affirm with a great aplomb that they are regenerating science. Kropotkin, for example, smugly asserts that his philosophical work that in his philosophical work that anarcho-communism rests on contemporary materialist philosophy, but he does not utter a single word to explain on which material philosophy anarcho-communism rests, on vulgar, monistic, or some other. Evidently, he is ignorant of the fact that there are fundamental contradictions between the different trends of materialism, and he fails to understand that to confuse these trends mean not to regenerating science, but displaying one's own downright ignorance. Damn. The same thing must be said about Kropotkin's Georgian disciples. Listen to this. In the opinion of Engels and also of Kautsky, Marx rendered mankind a great service in that he, among other things, discovered the materialist conception. Is this true? We do not think so, for we know that all the historians, scientists, and philosophers who adhere to the view of the social mechanism is set in motion by geographic, climate, telluric, cosmic, anthropological, and biological conditions are all materialists. It follows, therefore, that there is no difference whatsoever between the materialism of Aristotle and Holbach, or between the materialism of Marx and Moltke. This is their criticism, if you like, and people whose knowledge is on such a level have taken into their hands to renovate science. Indeed, it is apt in saying, it's a bad lookout when the cobbler begins to bake pies. Hello, Uwu Simple. We're reading Anarchism or Socialism. Moppin'. Shinji's terrible. Holes Haws. 2 holes Haws. Pee is stored in the butt. Apparently. Oh my god, Caboose. Two holes too furious. Meryl. God damn it, Meryl. To proceed, our celebrated anarchists heard somewhere that Marx's materialism was a belly theory, and so they rebuke us Marxists, saying, in the opinion of Feuerbach, man is what he eats. This formula had a magic effect on Marx and Engels, and as a consequence, Marx drew a conclusion that the main and primary thing is economic conditions, relations of production. And then the anarchist proceeds to instruct us in a philosophical tone. It would be a mistake to say that the sole means of achieving this object of social life is eating the economic production. If ideology were determined mainly monistically by eating and economic conditions, then some gluttons would be geniuses. These catty bitches. You see how easy it is to refute the materialism of Marx and Engels. It is sufficient to hear some gossip on the street from some schoolgirl about Marx and Engels. It is sufficient to repeat that gossip with philosophical aplomb and in the columns of a paper like Nobody, to leap into fame as a critic of Marxism. Caboose. Hey, Kenzie. No problem. Welcome back. Stalin is based. But tell me, gentlemen, where, when, on which planet, and which Marx did you hear say that eating determines ideology? Why do you not cite a single sentence, a single word from the works of Marx to back your assertions? True, Marx said that the economic conditions of men determine their consciousness, their ideology, but who told you that eating and economic conditions are the same thing? Don't you really know that physiological phenomena such as eating, for example, differ fundamentally from sociological phenomena such as economic conditions of men, for example? One can forgive a schoolgirl, say, for confusing these two different phenomena, but how is it that you, the vanquisher of social democracy, regenerators of science, so carelessly repeat a mistake of a schoolgirl? How, indeed, can eating determine social ideology? Ponder over what you yourself have said. Eating, The form of eating does not change. In ancient times, people ate, masticated, and digested their food in the same way as they do now, but ideology changes all the time. Ancient, feudal, bourgeois, and proletarian, such are the forms of ideology. It is conceivable that that which does not change can determine that which is constantly changing. Go off, King! Woo! Destroyed. Completely destroyed. Utterly in shambles. Shaking. Stalin is a mean girl. This is a burp. I love him. He's so funny. She doesn't even go here. To proceed further, in the opinion of the anarchists, Marxist materialism is a parallelism, or, again, monistic materialism is poorly disguised dualism and a compromise between metaphysics and science. Marx drops into dualism because he depicts relations of production as material and human strivings and will as an illusion and a utopia which, even though it exists, is of no importance. I want to read Nobody to see what the fuck is going on. Firstly, Marx's monistic materialism has nothing in common with silly parallelism. From this standpoint of the materialism, the material side content necessarily precedes the ideal side form. Parallelism, however, repudiates this view and emphatically affirms that neither the material nor the ideal comes first, that both develop together, side by side. Secondly, even if Marx had in fact depicted relations of production as material and human striving as the will and illusion, and a utopia having no importance, does that mean that Marx was a dualist? The dualist, as is well known, ascribes equal importance to the ideal and material sides as two opposite principles. But if, as you say, Marx attaches a higher importance to the material side and no importance to the ideal side because it is a utopia, how do you make out that Marx was a dualist, Monsieur Critics? Monsieur Critiques? Thirdly, what connection can be there between materialist monism and dualism, even when a child knows that monism springs from one principle, nature or being, which has had a material ideal, for whereas dualism springs up two principles, material and the ideal, which according to dualism negate each other. Fourthly, when did Marx depict human striving and will as utopian and illusion? True, Marx explained human striving and will by economic development, and when the strivings of certain armchair philosophers failed to harmonize with economic conditions, he called them utopian. But does this mean that Marx believed that human striving in general is utopian? Does this, too, really need explanation? Have you not really read Marx's statement that mankind always sets itself only such a task as it can solve? See preface to a contribution to a critique of political economy, i.e., that generally speaking, mankind does not pursue utopian aims. Clearly, either our critic doesn't know what he's talking about, or he is deliberately distorting the facts. Fifthly, who told you? Who told you? He's just going up. Who told you? Hi, welcome in, 3RG. We're just reading some Stalin. Whoops! Oh shit. Trotsky is a boog. For real. Okay. Fifthly, who told you that in the opinion of Marx and Engels, human striving and will are of no importance? Why do you not point to the place where they said that? Does Marx not speak of the importance of striving and will in his 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte, in his class struggle in France, and in his civil war in France, and in other pamphlets of the same kind? Why then did Marx try to develop the proletarians' will and striving in the socialist spirit? Why did he conduct propaganda among them if he attached no importance to striving and will? Or what did Engels talk about in his well-known article of 1891 through 94, if not the importance of will and striving? True, in Marx's opinion, human will and striving acquire their content from economic conditions, but does that mean that they themselves exert no influence on the development of economic relations? Is it really so difficult for the anarchists to understand such a simple idea? Here is another accusation Monsieur the Anarchist make from form is inconceivable without content. Therefore, one cannot say that form comes after content, lags behind content. They coexist, otherwise monism would be an absurdity. Our scholar is somewhat confused again. It is quite true that content is inconceivable without form, but it is also true that the existing form never fully corresponds to the existing content, that the form lags behind the latter. To the certain extent, the new content is always closed in the old content, in the old form, The new content is always clothed in the old form, and, as a consequence, there is always a conflict between the old form and the new content. It is precisely on this ground that revolutions occur, and this, among other things, expresses the revolutionary spirit of Marx's materialism. The celebrated anarchists, however, have failed to understand this, and for this they themselves not the materialist theory are to blame, of course. Such are the views of anarchists on the materialist theory and Marx and Engels, that is, if they can be called views at all. Boom! Okay, I'm going to read for just a bit longer, and then I will be skedaddling until tomorrow. Proletarian socialism. We are now familiar with Marx's theoretical doctrine. We are familiar with his method and also with his theory. What practical conclusion must we draw from this doctrine? What connection is there between dialectical materialism and proletarian socialism? The dialectical method affirms that only that class which is growing day by day, which always marches forward and fights unceasingly for a better future, can be progressive to the end. Only that class can smash the yoke of slavery. We see that the only class which is steadily growing, which always marches forward and is fighting for the future, is the urban and rural proletariat. Therefore, we must serve the proletariat and place our hopes on it. Such is the first practical conclusion to be drawn from Marx's theoretical doctrine. But there is service and service. Bernstein also serves the proletariat when he urges it to forget about socialism. Kropotkin also serves the proletariat when he offers its community socialism, which is scattered and has no broad industrial base. And Karl Marx served the proletariat when he calls it proletarian socialism, which will rest upon the broad basis of modern large-scale industry. What must we do in order that our activities may benefit the proletariat? How should we serve the proletariat? The materialist theory affirms that the given ideal may be of a direct service to the proletariat only if it does not run counter to the economic development of the country. If it fully answers to the requirements of that development, the economic development of the capitalist system shows that present-day production is assuming the social character. That the social character of production is fundamentally negation of existing capitalist property. Consequently, our main task is to help to abolish capitalist property and to establish capitalist property. No, we're not establishing capitalist property. Jesus Christ, I'm getting tired. We are establishing socialist property. Choice, fuck up. If you clip that, you're all dead to me. Don't fucking clip that. Don't fucking clip. Okay. We're gonna start that over. Okay. Consequently, our main task is to help abolish capitalist property and to establish socialist property. Jesus Christ. Perfect. Thank you, Caboose. Do not. God damn it. No, Keys, shut up. Shit. Okay. We're establishing socialist property. God, piss. And that means that the doctrine of Bernstein, who urges that socialism should be forgotten, fundamentally contradicts the requirements of economic development. It is harmful to the proletariat. Maro, don't fucking tell him. Further, the economic development of the capitalist system shows that the present-day production is expanding day by day. It is not confined within the limits of the individual towns and provinces, but constantly overflows these limits and embraces the territory of the whole state. Consequently, we must welcome the expansion of production and regard as the basis of future socialism not separate towns and communities, but the entire and indivisible territory of the whole state, which in future will of course expand more and more. And this means that the doctrine advocated by Kropotkin, which confines future socialism within the limits of separate towns and communities, is contrary to the interests of a powerful expansion of production. It is harmful to the proletariat. Fight for a broad socialist life is the principal goal. This is how we should serve the proletariat. Such is the second practical conclusion to be drawn from Marxist theoretical doctrine. Clearly, proletarian socialism is the logical deduction from dialectical materialism. But what is proletarian socialism? The present system is a capitalist system. That means that the world is divided up into two opposing camps. A camp of small handful of capitalists and a camp of the majority, the proletarians. The proletarians work day and night, nevertheless they remain poor. The capitalists do not work, nevertheless they are rich. This takes place not because the proletariats are unintelligent and the capitalists are geniuses, but because the capitalists appropriate the fruits of the labor of the proletarians, because the capitalists exploit the proletarians. Why are the fruits of the labor of the proletarians appropriated by the capitalists and not by the proletarians? Why do the capitalists exploit the proletarians and not vice versa? Because the capitalist system is based on commodity production. Here, everything assumes the form of commodity. Everywhere, the principle of buying and selling prevails. Here, you can buy not only articles of consumption, not only food products, but also labor power of men, their blood, and their consciences. The capitalists know all of this and purchase their labor power of the proletariat. They hire them. This means that the capitalists become the owners of the labor power they buy. The proletarians, however, lose their right to the labor power which they have sold. That is to say, what is produced by that labor power is no longer belonging to the proletariats. It belongs only to the capitalists and goes into their pockets. The labor power which you have sold so... Oh, wait. The labor power which you have sold may produce in the course of the day goods to the value of 100 rubles, but that is not your business. Those goods do not belong to you, and it is the business only of the capitalists, and the goods belong to them. All that you are due to receive is your daily wage, which perhaps may be sufficient to satisfy your essential needs, of course. You live frugally. Briefly, the capitalists buy the labor power of the proletariats. They hire the proletariats. And this is precisely why the capitalists appropriate the fruits of the labor of the proletariat. This is precisely why the capitalists exploit the proletariats and not vice versa. God damn it. God damn it. If you clip that, you're all dead to me. Don't fucking clip that. Don't fucking... That was... You were allowed to clip that. Thank you. That is why the proletariat... Fuck, where is that? Because the principal basis of the capitalist system is the private ownership of the instruments and means of production. Because these factories, mills, and land and minerals, forests, the railways, machines, and other means of production have become the private property of the small handful of capitalists. Because the proletariats lack all of this. This is why the capitalists hire proletariats to keep the factories and mills going. If they did not do that, their instruments and means of production would yield no profit. This is why the proletariats sell their labor power to the capitalists. If they did not, they would die of starvation. So I don't like authoritarianism. Okay, so you actually need to like learn about authoritarianism, because right now you're using like a liberal buzzword when like there are so many different types of like authoritarianism out there. I suggest you read On Authority. It should help clear that up, but like if you're like harping against authoritarianism, it kind of just means you haven't really read a lot of necessary theory to like really talk about it. So yeah, that's your homework, Ben. Yeah, it's really cool. It talks about like how like there are relationships out there that are just authoritarian. It doesn't make them good or bad. It just means like that they just are authoritarian, you know? And one wants to be an authoritarian and suppress the ruling class. Like that's what we want to do. We want to suppress the ruling class violently if they ask for it. Okay, where's that? All of this throws light on the general character of capitalist production. Firstly, it is self-evident that capitalist production cannot be united and organized. It is all split up among private enterprises and individual capitalists. Secondly, it is also clear that the immediate purpose of the scattered production is not only to satisfy the needs of the people, but to produce goods for sale in order to increase the profits of capitalists. But as every capitalist strives to increase his profits, each one tries to produce the largest possible quantity of goods, and as a result, The market is soon gutted. Prices fall and a general glutted. That means there's too much food. Not gutted. Glutted. There's too much food. Prices fall and a general crisis sets. Thus crises, unemployment, suspension of production, anarchy of production, and the like are the direct results of present-day unorganized capitalist production, or, like they say, the anarchy of production. This is unorganized, or if this unorganized system still remains standing, if it still firmly withstands the attack on the proletariat, it is primarily because it is protected by the state capitalists, by the capitalist government. Such is the basis of present-day capitalist society. Okay, so like a big thing that is super important for climate change too is going to be like the necessity for like a centralized government, right? We need everything like centrally planned because like we don't need people expending like energy that ruins the environment, wasting like our environment making trash, right? Because when there is the anarchy of production and when like things are not planned out, people just like make shit, you know, like have you ever seen those fucking dogs that like go yip 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 and then they like flip? Like under communism, we're not having any shit like that. That's all I'm saying. We're not mass producing those little yippy dogs that flip, okay? That's some bullshit. We ain't doing it. We're not wasting the environment on those goddamn dogs. You hear me? Is anybody listening to my dog rant? Oh, Kenzie. If you have any questions, like, what are you having difficulty understanding? Let's see if we can talk it through. Nice job, Adobe Cult. That's right. Yeah, I don't think voting, there's no point to voting. You should join a communist revolutionary organization. That's what you should do. Von Wall. That's not what I said. I'm talking about the plastic dogs. No triple yip flip. Yes. Hello, Maverick. We don't have time for small dogs. Y'all are fucking... No, you guys, you're missing the point. Authoritarianism just mean like you gotta read the thing. I mean, for me, probably I just need to read. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I sometimes have to read things like twice. Big, strong communist dogs. That'll be cool. Right, what do you mean when you say authoritarianism, Big Ben? Because it's like, this is kind of coming from not a place of like investigation on your part, but more of like a lifetime of American propaganda, which I mean, we all have experienced that. Well, Americans or people from the United States have experienced that, but it's something that we have to level self-criticisms against ourselves and keep ourselves honest And if we can't do it, a principled Marxist will usually levy it for you. But yeah, the best thing to do to learn about authoritarianism is definitely not to read like Wikipedia or anything like that. It's to, I don't know, I definitely start on authority, because that should help you really put it together. We're just talking about whether anarchism or socialism is like better. That's the main point. Black drink is also made from Yukon. Oh, interesting. Exactly. So one example that they say is like a train. A train is authoritarian. Why is it authoritarian? Because people have to be there at certain times, or the train will not run, right? It has to be done a certain way. It just has to, because that is what keeps the train running. And a ship, if you are all on a big, giant sailboat, right? And there's waves everywhere. You have to listen to your captain, or you all might die, right? You can't just be like, can we have a democratic discussion on what to do about this wave really quick? Or oh, fuck. There's this thing that Grom showed me the other day that was it was a whole bunch of anarchists in a foxhole. It's a trench or whatever. They're in a battle, a firefight. And they're arguing about or they're asking for a vote or something. I don't know. I just butchered the whole thing. It's very funny, but I ruined it. So sorry. But yeah, authoritarianism doesn't just apply to politics. It applies to everything. Okay, where's that? All this throws light on the general character of capitalist production. Firstly, it is self-evident that capitalist production cannot be united and organized. It is all split up among private enterprises of individual capitalists. And secondly, it also clears that the immediate purpose of the scattered production is not to satisfy the needs of the people, but to produce goods for sale in order to create the profit of the capitalists. But as every capitalist strives to increase his profits, one tries to produce a large possible quantity of goods, and as a result, the market is soon... Oh, fuck, I already read that. Sorry. Glutted. Might be... If this unorganized social system still remains standing, if it still firmly withstands the attack of the proletariat, it is primarily because it is protected by the capitalist state. And what does the state do? The state protects the capital by the capitalist government. Such is the basis of present-day capitalist society. There can be no doubt that the future society will be built on an entirely different basis. Future society will be a socialist society. This means primarily that there will be no classes in that society, that there will be neither capitalist nor proletariat, and consequently there will be no exploitation. In that society, there will be only workers engaged in collaborative labor. Future society will be a socialist society. This means that with the abolition of exploitation, commodity production and buying and selling will also be abolished, and therefore there will be no room for buyers and sellers of labor power, for employers or employed. There will only be free workers. Future society will be a socialist society. This means, lastly, that in the society, the abolition of wage labor will be accompanied by the complete abolition of private ownership of the instruments and means of production. There will be neither poor proletarians nor rich capitalists. There will only be workers who collectively own all the land and minerals and all the forests and all the factories and mills and all the railways, etc. That's nice. As you see. Oh, wait. So I just want to ask you, can you have socialism and capitalism existing at the same time? What is the answer? What's the answer? God damn it, Caboose. Wrong. No. No, maybe. No. No, Joyce. No. No. Magnus, thank you very much for cheering. That's really kind of you. Appreciate it. 45 bits. A resounding maybe. Y'all failed the test. That was the test and y'all failed. The answer is no. So true, Betsy. Oh my god, when the police and libraries. Socialism is actually when ICE and the military. The military is socialist. The CIA! The CIA is socialist. Did you guys know? Everyone. Woo! Communism is when big dogs. The economist in me is arguing that the train and the boats are not authoritarian. They are simply matters of existence and schedules. Authoritarianism is common understanding required humans and entities, choices and decisions under one entity. Yeah, but also, okay, so you are actually describing the decisions under one entity, like a ship captain, right? A ship captain is authoritarian. A pilot of an airplane is authoritarian. You can't have the means of production in the hands of the workers and in the hands of the capitalists. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know. Like, thank you. You can't have both. They are contradictory. You cannot have both. Cannot have both. Oh my god. Checkmate Libra. Oh my fucking god. Choice, you're fucking grounded. Oh my god. Are you guys still with me? Should I pause and do tomorrow, or do you want me to read a little longer? What do you think? God can't tell planes from birds, so if you die in a plane crash, you die in real life. It is midnight. Yeah, but it's the weekend. I feel like expanding it further out, simply immutable decisions or things, series of events, would be like saying physics is authoritarian. Yeah, actually, they are authoritarian. Right, they simply do. Why do they do? Because they have to do. That is authoritarianism. Bam. Got him. Is it the plane captain who is authoritarian, or is it the airline who told him where to go? I think both. Both are authoritarian. I think it's both. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. You fucking chat. Listen here. Y'all are gross. Just relax, okay? I had to get a coconut seltzer. Oh my god, I literally hate you, Caboose. I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. I hate all of you. You know what? I don't know who even poops that quickly. Blah. I don't know if that's necessarily healthy. Just let the dumps flow, you fuckers. You fuckers. You're so grounded. Caboose, how old are you? How dare you say it's midnight, like that's supposed to make me feel some certain sort of way? I'm a spry young thing, and I am like basically clubbing right now. Oh Jesus, double me. Pretend we're at the club. Except for this is like way more fun to me like than being at the club. Would the absolute easiest way to have an authoritarian system when the class consciousness be when class consciousness and a new social understanding to follow the betterment of society and not the individual are ever present and permanent, then have a revolution in new institutions that people will not question. Okay, so like that is really the goal. Like we're not like, nobody's planning like a coup type of situation. I feel like that maybe you're like misunderstanding. Like, so either the vanguard or in Maoism's case, like the mass line, in this way you have to go directly to the people, like the proletariat, the workers, and you have to like basically convince them of like the struggle, right? And you have to see what they need, and then you know, you work your theory around their needs, okay? And that's why we say that socialism will look different in every place, because people need different things in different places, right? But ultimately, socialism is the most democratic because of the way that you go back and forth to the masses. The only place where we use authoritarianism is in suppression of the bourgeoisie and that ruling class, right? But the capitalists are also authoritarian in the way that they use violence to suppress the proletariat. Does that make sense? Did I explain that okay? Am I rambling? Okay, cool. Right, yeah. Right. So, like, yeah, it's necessary for, like, let's say a community to suppress, let's say, a company or a person who is dumping in the water, right? This one corporation is dumping in the water. So what the community needs to do is, you know, stop that motherfucker. And, however that needs to happen. But, like, it's for the betterment of the whole people and the drinking water. That's just one, like, scenario. Right, but that is what authoritarianism is, right? Self-defense is authoritarian. Revolution is authoritarian. Like, no matter if you, like, see it as self-defense, which I do as well, but it is still authoritarian because it is a violent suppression. Dumping in the water. Not like... God damn it, Goose. I hate you. Yes, Marxists do say that self-defense is authoritarian. Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, actually we can talk for a little bit. Let us talk. And not about dumping in the water, you fuckers. Okay, who's online? When did Poly People start? Poly People, like, started streaming, like, not a long time ago. And they are, like, they got a lot of viewers. Yeah, we are in a club. Here, I'll turn up the music. Actually, let's see. What does this one sound like? I think it's too much. Yeah, but does Polly raid Dan? I'm not raiding anybody who, like, raids Dan. No, it's not anti-socialist to know your enemy. I don't know if Rob knows yet. We're trying to get everybody on the same page with the Dan situation. Danny boy! He got so sad when I said, hey, it's kind of weird for a socialist or, you know, whoever you are, to fucking be advocating for socialists to run for sheriff. You don't see how that's, like, not a great idea? And then he, like, quote tweeted me to hell, right? And then I was like, okay, well, if you feel this way, like, why do you have a hammer and sickle? Like, why are you selling hammer and sickle merchandise if you're not a communist? And he's like, are you personally attacking me? No, but I can. I, Dan Simpson. Oh wait, hold on. Ooh, what a good song though.
It's lucky for you that there's such a thing as chivalry towards your sex. I hate you!
Yeah, Rob is pretty cool. He's on the stream team. I just don't know if he
You guys are
knows.
married. You can kiss on the lips.
I just don't know if he knows. It's called Sea of Change by Aphelion on Exposure Land. Weird. Aphelion and Megan Levine. I don't know, it's a bunch of like no copyright stuff from Pretzel. I don't know how to link it, it's already gone. Ah. Yeah. We're at the end of our stream. We're just chatting, not really talking about anything in particular. Okay, what do you want me to play? Tomorrow we're going to finish, I think we're only on the first part. So the first part of Anarchism or Socialism. Yeah, we vibing right now. God damn it. What did I do? Did I do something silly? Shit. Okay, here goes. So I don't like authority. Wow. Try to get me? Try to get me there? Couldn't get me. Work on your clips, bro. I live to fight another day. Oh, clipless booze. Wrecked. Donovator, welcome in. We are just hanging out right now. We're not really doing anything. If you want to talk about anything, we can. Oh my god, Hi. You're banned in Idan Simpson and Bad Bunny? Oh, are you one of those? Oh, shit. Let's see you. Another streamer, I'm guessing. Let's see. Yep, they're live. 6 viewers. Woof. You're trying to get my viewers now? Is that what you're doing? Excuse you?
Oh, I think we have completely different demographics.
Are you a fucking Nazi?
Not worried about viewers.
Because if you say you're the opposite of me, then you're a
Why would I be
Nazi.
a Nazi? How do you get that vibe? What the fuck? How do I look like a Nazi? Do I look like a fucking Nazi?
A little, kinda.
I never said I was the opposite of anybody.
What's up? What do you want? What's good? What's going on? What's up?
Confused. I'm just looking to chat about a certain topic.
What would you like to chat about?
I don't know who Simpson is or Bad Bunny is.
You must know. You got banned in their channel.
The politics section, and that's all we're doing here. So, whatever. We should probably. Well, they have no relevance to me. I could look them up. I have no fucking clue. I've been on Twitch since 2018. I doubt those guys have been around that long. Yeah, she's got me up. That's why there's an echo. But.
Okay, what do you...
No, I'm just looking for some good conversation. Anarchism and socialism. Trotskyism. I think I sort of know what anarchism is.
Oh, you're
You
looking...
guys are talking about Nazis. What about Nazis? What do you guys
Nazis
know
are
about
bad. We don't like
I'm not a
Nazis.
Nazi, I don't think, anyway.
Good, please don't be one. You should not be a Nazi.
What about them? What is it that Nazis do? What is it that Nazis do that you hate the most?
Are you serious?
Look at you guys, I'm live.
Look, dude, she's got you pulled
Well, I thought that we killed all the Nazis. I thought we won that war.
Oh,
I thought
shit.
we ended the Nazis, did we? We put an end to the Nazis. So
Well, who's we? Who do you think defeated the Nazis?
Well, I'm from the United States of America.
The United States did not defeat the Nazis. The USSR defeated the Nazis.
Military in the world.
No, they have the most corrupt military in the world for sure. The USSR. Are,
Do they
really?
still exist?
They do not. They disbanded in 1991.
Who is the USSR? Do they still exist?
USSR. Sorry.
I think I'm being trolled.
Why would I troll you? Look at my
We're
page.
talking about people that don't exist anymore, and then an army that doesn't exist anymore. So we could just scratch that topic altogether.
Okay, I think we're just gonna scratch this.
The Nazi talk because they don't exist, and the
All right.
USSR don't exist.
All right, you're gonna have to farm views for somewhere else. Sorry, dude. Bye. Ugh. God, that was boring. How are you gonna like not know what anything is? I hate when people do that. Okay, where are we gonna go? We're gonna raid out. Right. Right. I think we call those neo caboose. I know. So fucking cringe. Dozens of us. Okay, where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna go? Let's go to Artsy Marxist. Yeah, let's go to Artsy Marxist. I will be back tomorrow. We will be reading the next part of this book. Okay? So show back up tomorrow or whatever. If you have time. Who cares, you know? Okay. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Okay. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Love you.
Must crush capitalism.